I'd like to welcome you to Liverpool Parish Church this evening for our Festive Poetry evening, and lots of you are participating, I know, so thank you for coming. Just a few housekeeping notes in the usual way, all COVID related, apart from to say where the lavatories are. But the COVID-related stuff is that we need to keep masks on unless you have an exemption. For test and trace, if he has not done so already, then Ali has the list of people who have booked tickets, and if your name isn't on that list, then he will add you to the list. So we've got the test and trace details. And there is loads of hand sanitizer around the place if you just want to smother yourself with it. So that'll do for the COVID stuff, and of course we must maintain distancing. In the light of all that, it is a pleasure to be able to have an evening like this evening, which a few months ago would have seemed impossible, and then we road tested it in October, and we're doing it again because we know that we can, and we feel more secure about that. So welcome. And I think that's all I need to say, because I've got the closing slot as well. The privilege of being clergy is you always get the last word. So I'm going to hand over to, I don't know if either of you wants to welcome straight to Victoria.
I'm just going to say very, very much welcome here today. It is a privilege to have you. And without you, we wouldn't have this event. I'm really, really grateful to the people that responded really quickly, and even the people that yesterday, this morning said, is there still a spot? Can I read? We are grateful to you, because if we didn't have you, we wouldn't have this. This event is going to be happening again and again and again, I hope. And today we have even more varied performers. We've got the enigmatic Dev Gilby and Kali, who will be performing. So you'll see a varied, different kinds of performances tonight. And I promise you'll be thoroughly entertained, this being the only place to go for that these days. And you'll be also very well inspired tonight. To open this event, I want to share two poems with you. The first one is, let me see, where should I start? I'll start with Emily Dickinson's Hope is a Thing with Feathers, because she's the much older one. Then I'll read mine. She was born 2 days ago in 1830, so it's a long time. But honestly, this poem, Hope is a Thing with Feathers, couldn't have been written for a better time as now. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings a tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. My poem, The Yes Train, is one that I wrote for mostly poets, but all performers. And this is dedicated to all of you performing tonight, as well as my big brother, whose birthday it is today. The Yes Train. We jumped cheerily on and waved the world away. To what end, we had no idea, and neither did we care. Trundling along in delight, shock, awe, but always with glee, we watched the skylines change from blue to any hue. The ides of February, then March, met the virgins of the south months, not once, not 5 times, but 40 or 50 or 60, with astute salutes. The slender boughs of the northern plains strained to kiss the ample bosoms of the Amazonian sisters, with success, or near enough. We drift in the fantasies of many sailors, farmers, makers of things, and sway to the rhythms of songsters, jesters, swindlers, players all. The stages swing about as we rush to laugh, to cry, to check our pockets and cry foul. The days merge into yesternights, and we lose the time to dimes. Welcome, everyone, and sit back and enjoy. I did forget to say, to introduce your MC for tonight, the very capable. I leave you in the very capable hands of Ali Harwood. Those of you who know him know that you are in very good hands, so enjoy.
Thank you. This is good, because I don't know if any of you have been in Zoomland recently. Who's been in Zoomland? Yeah, so when you do a poem, and then you can't hear anyone clap or anything, Father Crispin, are we actually allowed to clap? I'm assuming that's a yes, he's deep in conversation at the back. Yeah, but don't cheer too much. I'm going to put the lectern over here. If you want me to take it away, just give me a shout, and I will do that for you. I think the first half is as is printed on the sheet. The second half, it's a bit more jazz, okay? So we're altering the order slightly, but I'll tell you that in the break. So the break will come after Carly, and that will be amazing. And then we still need to keep socially distanced during the break as well, which I'm sure you're used to now. Again, thanks for coming. It's really good that you've come through the traffic. I think some people had a bit of trouble with the traffic this evening. I think we did. But it's great that you're here, and it's really nice to have an event in real life and see people in real life. So I've got two poems. This one's very short. It's called Robins. Robins chirp most all year round, harvest what burns in their hearts. When cold kicks in, they stand their ground. Let's sing along and play our parts. That's the first one. And the second one, I've not done much writing in the last few weeks, but I wanted to write a poem for this evening. And every time we come to church, I'm really drawn to the 500-year-old piece of oak there, which is incredibly carved and is called The Grail Boat by Greg Tricker. If you get a chance to have a look and read it, really do, because it's an amazing piece of art. And it kind of inspired me to write this, which I think relates to our lead up to Christmas as well. It's called The Same Boat. I wait to find myself on board this boat with folk from near and far. Tessellated space between us forms the shapes through which we pass. And pass we will this parcel round, a cup of hope with life inside. We sup our share to keep our blood afloat upon this ocean wide. And wide and wild the blue expands to angry seas and doldrum days. So let us ride the storms and steer our course to light where there be rays. And raise a smile, for we're still going on our journey in the now. We can rise to make a better future just beyond the prow, somehow. Thank you. Right, well, I've forgotten where I've put my mask. Fortunately, I've got two. So I'll put my other one on in a minute. Please give a big welcome to our technician of the evening, the wonderful Ian Grant Funk with Act 2, Scene 1 from As You Like It. Welcome, Ian.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ian, technician in name only. So this next piece is not necessarily holiday-like, but as you can already tell, I'm not from here. So this will be my first Christmas outside the U.S. and away from my family. So I wanted to pick a piece that had something to do with that. And this piece of text I think is nice because it says a little something about being in a place you don't expect and being glad that you're there. So here goes nothing. Now my co-mates and brothers in exile, hath not old custom made this life more sweet than that of painted pomp? Are not these woods more free from peril than the envious court? Here feel we but the penalty of Adam, the season's difference, as the icy fang and churlish chiding of the winter's wind, which, when it bites and blows upon my body, even till I shrink with cold, I smile and say, this is no flattery. These are counselors that feelingly persuade me what I am. Sweet are the uses of adversity, which, like the toad, ugly and venomous, wears yet a precious jewel in his head. And this our life, exempt from public haunt, finds tongues in trees, books in the running brooks, sermons in stones, and good in everything. I would not change it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ian. And also, happy birthday to you, Ubong. Have a really good one. Okay, that goes to Victoria's brother over in the States. Brilliant. Okay, so we are very lucky to have someone with an incredible voice who probably does not need this microphone and will fill up the church with light. It is the wonderful Dave Gilby. Wow. I tell you what, it's worth coming, wasn't it? Yeah, it's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas. Dave, thank you so much. That was fantastic. Okay. Please welcome somebody all the way from the Wirral who's done a lot and continues to do a lot, the wonderful Judy Ugonna.
hard to follow that, but I'll do my best. I've got two poems that are slightly seasonal. The first one is called Advent, It's Not Yet Time. And I wrote it when I learnt that I was going to have a grandson, but it actually turned into something slightly different. It's not yet time. A baby stirs in his private sea, stretching his newt-like limbs. I stare into the screen through to an otherworldly face, emotionless, remote from our carbon earth, where I, weighed down, wait. Not for him the burden of breath, day in, day out, not yet. It's not yet time. That salamander smile is steady. Those legs move freely in that other space. Is this the child to turn the world, to stir us as we sweat and cough 200 years of dust and poison to the skies that edge and hold our world temperate, cloud-swept, blue? Is this new child a final straw whose coming marks the start of leaner, lighter-footed times? And then the second poem is sort of vaguely referencing the idea of where the wise men might have come from. Again, it was inspired by a visit to Libya. I was very lucky to go to Libya before it had all these terrible civil wars. And if you can imagine a souk on the edge of the Sahara Desert. Open the door at the center of the world. Outside, you will find a clutter of camels with raised eyebrows, boys, eyes creased in the glaring sun, old men, quiet in the shade, sticks nursed between knees, waiting for news. Open the door at the center of the world. Go south to find sesame, mahogany, gold, diamonds, and soft leather. Or east for patterned tiles, miniature paintings, and pretty boxes. If you will, go further for silks, paper, and porcelain. Think twice before you follow roads to the north and west. The debris of empires litters your path. You can find steel knives, iron shackles, and locks, but the people of these places would rather sell you their guns. Thank you.
Judy, thank you so much for opening the door to us to two very different experiences, both intimate and rich. What's really nice about evenings and events like this is the range and the diversity which you get to hear. So thank you. Okay. I'd next like to welcome, with her winter emotions, the wonderful Christina Mihailovici. And if I've pronounced that wrong, please forgive me. Christina.
Good evening, everyone. I'm really happy to be with you in this evening. My name is Christina, and I will perform my last poem dedicated to winter. It's titled Winter Emotions. Walking on my pathway, snow around me, beautiful angels lightening my life, my journey, my way. some dark creatures screaming, maybe gray or white wolves, their shadow closer and closer, the angel's light more and more stronger. A frozen dream in a one-horse open sleigh, with white horses and a queen prepared to celebrate the life, the peace and harmony, with her blue eyes so bright and her humanity. Her voice, with strong vibrations, is praying for our peace, for future generations with hopes and with white dreams. Some white doves on the sky are sending us a message of love and health and joy, prosperity and blessings. Thank you so much.
Well, Christina, I think this is a very appropriate space for us to have heard that poem, so thank you very much. Well, we will now come to a double act who I'm sure you'll be pleased to hear, and whenever they read the readings in church on a Sunday, it always brings them a little bit more to life. It is the wonderful Pamela Stokes and Dean Sullivan with the 12 Days of Christmas by John Julius Norwich. Keep it coming. They're on their way. You'll have to play head tennis, because one will be here and one will be there, I think.
December the 25th.
My dearest darling, that partridge in that lovely little pear tree. What an enchanting, romantic, poetic present. Bless you and thank you. Your deeply, deeply loving Emily.
December the 26th.
My dearest darling Edward, the 2 turtle doves arrived this morning and are cooing away in the pear tree as I write. I'm so touched and grateful. With undying love, as always, Emily.
December the 27th.
My darling Edward, you do think of the most original presents. Whoever thought of sending anybody 3 French hens? Do they really come all the way from France? It's a pity we have no chicken coops, but I expect we'll find some. Thank you anyway, they're lovely. You're loving, Emily.
December the 28th.
Dearest Edward, what a surprise. 4 calling birds arrived this morning. They're very sweet, even if they do call rather loudly, and they make telephoning impossible. But I expect they'll calm down when they get used to their new home. Anyway, I'm very grateful. Of course I am. Love from Emily.
December the 29th.
The postman has just arrived with 5 beautiful gold rings, 1 for each finger, and all fitting perfectly. A really lovely present. Lovelier in a way than the birds, which do take rather a lot of looking after. The 4 that arrived yesterday are still making a terrible row, and I'm afraid none of us got much sleep last night.
Mummy says she wants us to use the rings to wring their necks. Oh, she's only joking, but I sort of know what she means. But I love the rings. Bless you. Love, Emily.
December the 30th.
Dear Edward, whatever I expected when I opened the front door this morning, it certainly wasn't 6 socking great geese laying eggs all over the doorstep. Frankly, I'd rather hoped you'd stop sending me birds. We have no room for them, and you have already ruined the croquet lawn. I know you mean well, but let's call a halt, shall we? Love, Emily.
December the 31st.
Edward, I thought I said no more birds, but this morning I woke up to find no less than 7 swans, all trying to get into our tiny goldfish pond. I'd rather not think what happened to the goldfish. The whole house seems to be full of birds, to say nothing of what they leave behind them. Please, please stop. Yours, Emily.
January the 1st.
Frankly, I think I prefer the birds. What am I to do with 8 milkmaids and their cows? Is this some kind of joke? If so, I'm afraid I don't find it very amusing. Emily.
January the 2nd.
Look here, Edward, this has gone far enough. You say you're sending me 9 dancing ladies? All I can say is that judging from the way they dance, they're certainly not ladies. The village just isn't accustomed to seeing a regiment of shameless hussies with nothing on but their lipstick cavorting around the green. And it's Mummy and I who get the blame. If you value our friendship, which I do less and less, kindly stop this ridiculous behaviour at once. Emily.
January the 3rd.
As I write this letter, 10 disgusting old men are prancing about all over what used to be our garden before the geese and the swans and the cows got at it. And several of them, I notice, are taking inexcusable liberties with the milkmaids. Meanwhile, the neighbours are trying to have us evicted. I shall never speak to you again. Emily.
January the 4th.
This is the last straw. You know I detest bagpipes. The place has now become something between a menagerie and a madhouse. And a man from the council has just declared it unfit for habitation. At least Mummy has been spared this last outrage. They took her away yesterday afternoon in an ambulance. I hope you're satisfied.
January the 5th. Sir, our client, Miss Emily Wilbraham, instructs me to inform you that, with the arrival on her premises at 7:30 this morning of the entire percussion section of the Liverpool Philharmonic Orchestra and several of their friends, she has no course left open to her but to seek an injunction to prevent your importuning her further. I am making arrangements for the return of much assorted livestock. I am, sir, yours faithfully, G. Creep, Solicitor at Law. Who's that? Knocking on the window. Who's that? Standing at the door. What are all those presents lying on the kitchen floor? Who is the smiling stranger with hair as white as gin? What is he doing with children? And who could have let him in? Why has he rubies on his fingers? A cold, cold crown on his head? Why when he caws his carol, does the salty snow run red? Why does he ferry my fireside as a spider on a thread, his fingers made of fuses, and his tongue of gingerbread? Why does the world before him melt in a million suns? Why do his yellow yearning eyes burn like saffron buns? Watch where he comes walking out of the Christmas flame, dancing, double talking. Herod is his name.
Wow. Okay, well, Dean, thank you very much for the Innocent song by Charles Causley, and Dean and Pamela together. That was absolutely, absolutely wonderful. I like that. No more birds. Absolutely. And they are members of the St. Nick's congregation, and like everyone's like that, aren't they? But everyone's like that and different, so it's a really good reason for coming to church here as well. Okay, and more of them later as well, after the break, you'll be pleased to hear. Well, to finish off the first half, and after the first half, we'll have about a 5-minute break when we'll just change over, so we'll get ready for the Sonic Duo. But to finish the first half, an artist, a dancer, someone that I've known for over 20 years, oh my goodness. The wonderful, the mesmeric Kali Chandrasegaram. And what he does will speak for itself.
Thank you, Ali. I would like to present to you all an excerpt of a dance video which I created during the first lockdown when I was feeling really low, and it was a dark time where I'm sure a lot of us have been through it, where we were quite lonely and having lost much of my work being a freelance artist. And at that time when I created the piece, it was with so much pain. But now I'm looking back at it as a celebration because it got me through the dark times. So this piece is called Teal, and the music is composed by an amazing young talented composer called Pablo Sunayan, who's just there. And we will do that in a bit, but I would like to read the words that inspired this piece beforehand. Two short excerpts from the first one is Ancient Mysteries of Water, the Watkins Mind, Body and Spirit. Water, always ready to change, to adapt, to create and transform, is the best guide that nature offers us for understanding how to live with wisdom and serenity. How to achieve a healthy and fulfilling life. But first though, we must understand its movements, its turbulence, as well as the turbulence it provokes within our bodies and minds. When we've understood why water moves as it does, what it's fighting against, what it's striving towards, indeed why it is at all, we will understand a great deal more about our deeper selves. Water is a powerful force that shapes our planet like a sculptor. Its unstoppable flow transforms mountains into canyons, while at the same time providing sustenance to every living organisms. Water is the common matrix of all growth. All forms of nature are painted by its invisible brush, revealing an imperfect world full of complexity and intelligence. Water also shapes and defines us as a spiritual, conscious part of this planet in search of meaning. Let us dive deep into the mysteries to explore the most profound meanings of life. And the second one is Be Like Water, a poem by Muhammad Ziaul Haqi. Be like water, flow like a river, crash like the rain, fly like the cloud again. Protect your dream, say it ever with a scream. I can kiss the day, I can seize the day. Be like water, flow, crash, fly. Be like water, flow, crash, and fly. Thank you.
That was fantastic, wasn't it? Another round of applause, I think, and thank you for our musician as well. I don't know about you, but oh, how I've missed live performance. That's the first dance I've seen live for a long, long time, and it makes me feel good. I don't know about you. So that brings the first half to an amazing end, where we've had Carly, we've had Dean, we've had Pamela, we've had Christina, we've had Judy, Dave, Ian, and Victoria. And please give them a big round of applause. We'll have 5 minutes break, and we'll get ready for the Sonic Duo after that. Thank you so much. Thank you, and welcome to the second half. Soon we are going to be welcoming the wonderful the Sonic Duo, but just before that, I'm going to run through what the order will be for the second half, because it might not be exactly what you've got on your sheets. So just to let you know, we will have Sonic Duo, and then, have we John Short? No, okay. So we will have Sonic Duo, and then we will have Morris Green, and then we will have Pam, and then Dean, and then Queen, and then Idie, then Paul. I don't think Aaron is here. No. Then, see, live bards, Jake normally finishes things off, but unfortunately, Jake, here, Father Crispin will be finishing it off. So we'll have Jake and then Father Crispin. Okay, so without further ado, please welcome Sonic Duo.
Right, good evening. Can you all hear me all right? Yes, good. Yes, it's thank you, Ali and Victoria, for making this event happen and bringing us all together again after such a long time. We've absolutely loved the performances in the first half and really looking forward to the second half as well. We've got 4 pieces for you tonight, Carolyn and I, and not strictly to do with Christmas, but certainly we hope reminiscent of the kinds of reflections and thoughts that we do have at Christmas. So the first one it's a Viking poem, and it has a kind of wintry feel, and it touches on exploration and travel, which of course I'm sure we're all hoping to do again once the restrictions lift. This is called Daniel of the North. Daniel came from one of them, the Iceman of the North. Son of Harold, voyager, he navigated forth across the sea to England, peninsula north and west, where accents tell his origins and descendants came to rest. See his freckles, fine like dust, across proud nose and cheeks, and copper glint in hair and beard, to Nordic roots it speaks. Of biting winds and beauty bleak, an island home to few, of boiling springs and steel grey skies, bold sagas do construe. Of warriors, fairies, elves and kings, and how they formed the world, of toughened ponies, shaggy maned, beneath aurora swirled. Sapphire eyes and pale through skin identify the man. Aboard the ship, trimmed long with shields, returning home to scan. Horizons now invisible, till coming into view, Iceland comes towards Daniel, his island home to few. Thank you. Our next piece was originally written in response to the Syrian refugee crisis, and particularly the plight of Syrian refugee children, who are often found to be migrating on their own without their families. And it's also inspired by the words of King Solomon in the book of Ecclesiastes in the Old Testament. This is called Solomon's Season. Through chain-link fence peer tiny faces. They travel alone without parents, so named exceptional cases. corralled away from home, no playpen this. Trust, the first casualty of the Damascus abyss. With foreheads pressed against diamond mesh metal, snub noses, little chins, beseeching eyes of tender fettle. Pick me. Dark or blonde, just a mix of Syrian dust. Scales must fall from blinded earth's eyes. During this, the season, where surely a reason to love will be ever, and to hate will be never, and for war will be never ever, and for peace, if not now, when? Thank you. This next poem is really a spirit romance, and it's about being so in love with the essence of a person that ultimately gender would become irrelevant. This is called Where We Are. In my mind, the wildness grows. My hair is shorn, and I propose to you. It matters not how we were born. My woman's parts I fail to mourn. Now they're gone. Here I'm female, and you are male. But there we're opposites, reversed, head to tail, just people. And more than that, two ancient souls, persons only, with matching goals, to meet wherever. In the streets of now, or on the plains of then, in the mansion house tomorrow, in rooms 1 to 10, just be there. Our essence unchanged, genderless, light. You in a housewife, me in an armored knight. Swapped and still in love. Hurtling through time on a comet's tail and alive in dreams, switched female to male and man to woman to angel. Angel, angel, archangel, Uriel, wise, red, Raphael, healing, green, Michael, leading, blue, Gabriel, revealing, white. Thank you. And for our final piece, we want to express the hope for a new world order when we finally reach the other side of the pandemic. This is called Lullaby for the World. Hey there, slow down, the world has gone to sleep. Hey there, slow down, the world is ours to keep. Take it gently, step by step, round the corner, every bend. Take it slowly, inch by inch, round the corner, every bend. The great leveler came to visit, princes and heroes alike. Every man and every child, we waited for the spike. We couldn't go outside, so we looked inwardly, engaging with the universe and its vast mystery. Like the awesome Hercules, we brought the lion down. In our earthly den of labors, we let our haunting ghosts drown. We all met our doubting Thomas, searching for our God, when all along our knowing would turn over spirit's sod. Then, as this dust would settle, we would wait upon the night, humbled, true, and patient. It finally grew light. If we hear the silence, it will whisper in our ears that we are Atlas, strong enough to hold the heavens after tears. Athena's wisdom gained at last will have a calming of the mind. Tranquility across the cosmos usurps the daily grind. We will wake the child of morning, a startled little fawn, to live by what we know and touch the rosy-fingered dawn. Hey there, slow down, the world has gone to sleep. Hey there, slow down, the world is ours to keep. Take it gently, step by step, round the corner, every bend. Take it slowly, inch by inch, round the corner, every bend. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Sonic Duo, to Lucy and to Carolyn, and thank you for engaging with the universe and inviting us to engage in it with you. That's really great. Thank you. Okay. We're really lucky to welcome a very suave-looking gentleman, also a member of the congregation, and much more. It is Maurice Green, everyone.
I saw a ship a-sailing on the sea, and oh, it was all laden with pretty things for thee. There were comforts in the cabin and apples in the hold. The sails were made of silk, and the masts were made of gold. The 24 sailors that stood between the decks were 24 white mice with silver chains about their necks. The captain was a duck with a packet on his back. And when the ship began to move, the captain said, "Quack, quack."
It's never dull with Maurice around, is it? Fantastic. Okay, well, we've seen her before. I'm sure we'd be pleased to see her again with 2 poems. It is Pamela Stokes. She's coming from a long way back, so we have to keep that going. There, she's milking it now.
two poems here from opposite ends of the age range. So the first one is Snowball by Shel Silverstein, aged 62 and a quarter, and I'm reading it as if I'm still Pamela at 5 and a half. I made myself a snowball, as perfect as can be. I thought I'd keep it as a pet and let it sleep with me. Made it some pajamas and a pillow for its head. Then last night it ran away. But first, it wet the bed. The second one I found, this is written by a lady called Marge Max, but that's actually just her internet name. And she's a poet, but she writes greeting cards. She writes poetry for greeting cards. She's an American, so unfortunately there is one word in here, which is slightly awkward. It's like the word bum, which in England refers to my ex-husband, or in America, in America, whereas here it's a simple, and I try and take it out, but I couldn't get anything else to rhyme with granny, so here we go. Merry Christmas to my female friends. If I were old Santa, you know what I'd do? I'd dump silly gifts that are given to you. Things you have lost but treasured before. I'd give you back all your maidenly vigor. And go along with it, a neat tiny figure. Then restore the old collar that once graced your hair before rinses and bleaches took residence there. I'd bring back the shape with which you were gifted, so things now suspended need not be uplifted. I'd draw in your tummy and smooth down your back till you'd be a dream in those tight-fitting slacks. I'd remove all your wrinkles and leave only one chin, so you wouldn't spend hours rubbing grease on your skin. You'd never have flushes or queer dizzy spells, nor aches or aching feet, and no corn on your toes. No searching for spectacles when they're right on your nose. Not a shot would you take in your arm, hip or fanny from a doctor who thinks you're a nervous old granny. And no heating pad needed since your muscles won't ache. Yes, if I was Santa, you'd never look stupid. You'd be a cute little chick with the romance of a Cupid. I'd give a lift to your heart when those wolves start to whistle, and the joys of your heart would be light as a thistle. But alas, I'm not Santa, I'm simply just me, the matronest of matrons you ever did see. I wish I could tell you all the symptoms I've got, but I'm due at my doctor's for an estrogen shot. Even though we've grown older, this wish is sincere. Merry Christmas to you and a Happy New Year.
Pam, that's wonderful. I certainly feel uplifted from listening to that. And I don't think anyone noticed the awkward word, I'm sure. And do you know what? It's really nice to see people giggling and laughing, because it's a really brilliant tonic. Okay. Well, from Pamela, we go to the wonderful Dean Sullivan with Christmas by John Betjeman. And he's on his way, so let's give him a good entrance. Looking very dapper as well.
Of course, John Betjeman is one of our nation's favourite poets, and this poem by him called Christmas is one of my favourites. The bells of waiting Advent ring. The tortoise stove is lit again. and lamp oil light across the night has caught the streaks of winter rain. In many a stained glass window sheen from Crimson Lake to Hooker's Green. The holly in the windy hedge and round the manor house the yew will soon be stripped to deck the ledge, the altar, font and arch and pew, so that the villagers can say, the church looks nice on Christmas Day. Provincial public houses blaze, corporation tram cars clang, on lighted tenements I gaze, where paper decorations hang. And bunting in the red town hall says, Merry Christmas to you all. And London shops on Christmas Eve are strung with silver bells and flowers, as hurrying clerks the city leave to pigeon-haunted classic towers, and marble clouds go scudding by the many-steepled London sky. And girls in slacks remember Dad, and oafish louts remember Mum, and sleepless children's hearts are glad, and Christmas morning bells say, come, even to shining ones who dwell safe in the Dorchester Hotel. And is it true, this most tremendous tale of all, seen in a stained glass window's hue, a baby in an ox's stall, the maker of the stars and sea, become a child on earth for me? And is it true? For if it is, no loving fingers tying strings around those tissued fripperies, the sweet and silly Christmas things, bath salts, an inexpensive scent, and hideous tie, so kindly meant. No love that in that family dwells, no caroling in frosty air, nor all the steeples shaking bells can with this single truth compare, that God was man in Palestine and lives today in bread and wine.
Thank you so much, Dean, for your very poignant reading there. And I think in some of the words there, I think we villagers can say, the church looks nice today, doesn't it? Okay, and if you have a look round, I think the flowers look amazing as well. They always do here. It's lovely to come. Okay, so without further ado, with I look up to the hills from where cometh my help, it is the wonderful Queen Ibia.
I'm new here. My first time was in August. Is it October? October. And when I came, I was really inspired, by the people that performed. And this time around, I said I was going to read. And I'm actually kind of giving a tribute of, of the challenges that we had as a family last year, when my daughter was in hospital for almost a month plus. And I think sometimes when things happen in our lives, we forget God and we kind of get swap along or sweep along in the current of the situation, and we forget that we have our grounding in God and in God's word. So this psalm actually was a psalm that gave me courage. And when you look at what is happening around us today with the pandemic, and everybody kind of quite worried, quite concerned, afraid of even having contact with each other. We cannot even embrace ourselves. We cannot even be close to one another. I think in times like this, we need to go back into the Word and find things, or find a word, or find a passage that we can hold on to, that will continue to give us the light. So my light for that period and this period was Psalm 121. He said, I will lift up my eyes to the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. He said he will not allow my foot to be moved. He said he who keeps me will never slumber. He said, behold, he who keeps Israel, and I usually put my name there, shall neither slumber nor sleep. He said, the Lord is my keeper. The Lord is my shade at my right hand. He said he would not allow the sun to strike me by day, nor the moon by night. He said the Lord will preserve me from all evil. He shall preserve my soul. He said the Lord shall preserve my going out and my coming in from this time. So from whatever time you have, is just to remember that the Lord will preserve you and the Lord will bless you. Thank you so much.
Queen, that was wonderful, and thank you for sharing a word, well, more than a word, and a passage to hold on to. And I think what you said at the beginning was really touching and moving as well. And it's really nice to share words in a real space with real people in real time. Okay, so we have, I think, our youngest contributor today, with fresh from doing her mocks. It is Idi Akpan with a poem about seasons. So please welcome Idi.
The turning of the tides, when the ice has melted, when the creatures open their eyes and the piercing cold is ended. If you look through your window, you might just be able to see the flowers that were once widows, linking again and growing free. Trees regaining their pride like a sinner asking for forgiveness. Don't forget it's that time of year, no, not Christmas. To reflect on what we have and what we don't need, not just material things, but also internally. Skipping outside may be in season, but just know it might rain, so you need another reason. Though it's a fresh start and the wind's on in your favor, just a reminder, have you checked the paper? Blazing heat and it's free is what the headlines say. 38.8 degrees, didn't I tell you the winds were going my way? These are the times you ought to hold dear. For better or worse, these were the chances of last year. Glistening faces lined a large litter box, leaving beige traces to see who can reach the rocks. While leaving caramel glue, creamy white and candy pink, you ought to think that's some strange color proof. These are the times you ought to hold dear, cause the sun won't always seem so near. When you fall at twilight and rise up in a daze, you're going to wish you'd have counted your days. Stolen like the crown jewels, lying in anguish, minds go back to when they were living life lavish, begging for the hand to charge forward just 1 second, to escape the band of night watchers that are legend. But they make sure you have more time to see why the leaves fall the way they do, escaping like they've committed a crime, signifying something anew. Before they run, they give us a preview of their nuclear wigs, red, orange, pink, a prequel. Brilliant time for nature, some would say. Don't go out and cause mischief, others would pray. The Arctic chill that starts to progress, still the strange hearts that humans possess, allows them to assemble and look to the sky just to watch colors fly. Solitary is the mind of those who don't want to go out and see what she has to offer. Though it's no drought, some crops still suffer. Spectating from the clouds will only get you in the way of the glistening mounds opposite of what some had to say. Suppress the thought of your mind behind all that seems brash and murky. There is beauty at work that's definitely deemed worthy. Till they reach the ground, they entangle in a dance, greeting each other, leaving us in a trance. When they land, they cover the trees, taking them out of their best states, and it's that time of year, Christmas, hooray. But when the festivities die down and we say goodbye to those with joy they bring, we ask ourselves, what becomes of ice once it's melted? Spring.
Thank you, ID, and I'm sure we're all yearning for spring, but let's not wish away all the seasons before. And it's nice to see that in between preparing for GCSEs, there's time for poetry. Great stuff. Okay, all the way from across the water, we now have fantastic Paul Harris.
Oh gosh, that's something to live up to, isn't it? Hello, good evening, everyone. Wonderful being here. What an engaging amount of talent we've got around us. I've been thoroughly entertained tonight. It's really good. Thank you for inviting me along as well. I'm going to read two poems. But before I do, I just want to say I feel really kind of connected tonight to this place. In the 1800s, my ancestors worshipped here, and it's like coming back to something special. So that's a special treat for me as well as being here to read some poetry. I'm going to read two poems, like I said. The first one I've written myself. The second one is by a poet laureate. I wrote this at the beginning of the year before COVID broke, and since then I've learned, the poem is called Tree Gazing. Since then I've learned that trees emit a compound called terpenes, and terpenes help us as humans to strengthen our immune system, our T cell system. And a good friend of mine who's head of mental health in Cumbria said to me a couple of weeks back that amongst other things we can do in these COVID times is to take walks out amongst trees, and one will feel a lot better for it and be a lot better protected. So this is tree gazing. Have you ever looked relentlessly at a tree? The fractal echoes of veins and the arteries in its branches, encrustations of lichen and moss, the smooth curves and dark fissures. Then the leaves, their slim capillaries, the outrageous slide of colour from jade to emerald, gold to rust, their manifold fruit shapes, helicopters, petals, medieval flails. Have you recently nibbled a crab apple? If not, why not? Thank you. Just going to get my second poem up if I can find it. I don't normally read from a phone, but I rushed out tonight without gathering my papers, and this is a result. I have to resort to using this, which means I've got to squint a little bit as well. But hopefully I will find this poem. Yes, here we go. This is called Christmas Song, written in the early 1900s by the Canadian poet laureate William Bliss Carman. It's very seasonal as well, as you can imagine. Above the weary waiting world, asleep in chill despair, there breaks a sound of joyous bells upon the frosted air, and o'er the humblest roof tree, lo, a star is dancing on the snow. What makes the yellow star to dance upon the brink of night? What makes the breaking dawn to glow so magically, so bright, and all the earth be renewed with infinite beatitude? The singing bells, the throbbing star, the sunbeams on the snow, and the awakening heart that leaps, new ecstasy to know. They're all dancing in the morn because a little child is born. Thank you.
Paul, it's great that you could make it, and you've really added something there. And thank you for encouraging us to gaze at and walk amongst trees. And I know what you mean about feeling like home in this space as well. It's really good. Okay, well, this month's Live Bards felt a little bit barren in one way, in the fact that it was missing the ending, which is always interesting, by Jake Archer. So luckily, we have got Jake Archer here today, so please welcome Jake.
Like the previous poet, my relative also used to have this church for his parish church. It was the 18th century. They got married, lived in a tenement just over there, went to sea. So it's nice to be back for the first time for me. I'd like some part of me to live on as a wide-branched tree, and the rest as a root-turned earth, something seasonal and leafy. Daisies may gather around my lower bower, sheltered from some spring-born shower, the pollen's blowing away in the wind. Thank you. This I wrote some time ago, Tipperary, 1914. Firm fingers roll on ivory and much-loved wood. A lady leans upon a stool, her sleeves turned up. Amongst moustaches and tankards, free arms are flanking, all as one, there are no rankings. Eyes mist in middle rising, as the murmurings turn to hollers in pride mustering, romanticizings. Oh, it's a long way for military milliners to South Africa for their ostrich feathers. While she's soft-pedaling to imperial suns, her raking chords are rattling on. All are cheery and aware of the things to come, of trenches and a stink of damp, along creaking duckboards to the no-man's swamp. The iron rains and caustic plumes that will bloom over towns like Verdun and fields like the Somme. Stalemate sipping tea with battered mugs, biscuit cracks, senses blurred by cataracts. Booming beyond this public room and this yearning expeditionary marching tune. Under wires, feet fall, heavy tripping hammers silence the calling chords of home, the dying. Thank you. And this one to finish you all off, before Dark Mirror. At the end of the world is a dark mirror reflecting id infinitum, everything you've done, everyone you've been and become. I shall return, said the general, and I believe, like Christ, he's right. The dark mirror is our memory, and memory is life. At the start of a star is a smile of a baby. It is now the best it gets. It's what everyone has been and will become. I commit my spirit, said the priest. It is the way and the light. The dark mirror is our memories, and memories are life. Thank you very much.
As Victoria just said, Jake's on form tonight, and you are. Brilliant. Thank you so much. We're almost at the end. I'm just checking that Aaron is not here because I don't want him to come all the way. My eyesight, even with my glasses, isn't very good. No, Aaron. Okay. Okay, well, thank you for the second half. To Jake, to Paul, to Idie, to Queen, to Dean, to Pamela, and to our sonic duo of Lucy and Carolyn. And to finish, I'm not quite sure what he's sharing, but I'm sure he'll tell you. Also, can I just say as well, thank you so much to Ian, to Father Crispin, and the people at the church, and particularly Victoria for organising all of this. And please, a big welcome, well, not welcome, a re-welcome to Father Crispin.
Thank you. We're going to finish with a Christmas theme. Probably loud enough, I'll just drop this a bit. I'm going to read a poem by Carol Ann Duffy, who obviously has strong Liverpool links, from her collection The World's Wife, which some of you may know, which is a wonderful collection which takes well-known scenarios, many of which are biblical, and views them through the woman's gaze, and often it's the gaze of the person who's in the room but isn't mentioned in the original texts. And so the intention is to subvert. That's what she does. And I'm going to subvert her because it's going to be a male voice reading a female part. It's called Queen Herod. Ice in the trees, 3 queens at the palace gates, dressed in furs, accented. Their several sweating, panting beasts laden for a long, hard trek, following the guide and boy to the stables, courteous, confident, and with gifts for the king and queen of here. Herod, me. In exchange for sunken baths, curtained beds, fruit, the best of meat and wine, dancers, music, talk, as it turned out to be, with everyone fast asleep, save me, these vivid 3 till bitter dawn. They were wise, older than I. They knew what they knew. Once drunken Herod's head went back, they asked to see her, fast asleep in her crib, my little child. Silver and gold, the loose change of herself glowed in the soft bowl of her face. Grace, said the tallest queen. Strength, said the queen with the hennaed hands. The black queen made a tiny starfish of my daughter's fist, said, happiness, then stared at me, queen of queens, with insolent lust. Watch, they said, for a star in the east, a new star, pierced through the night like a nail. It means he's here, alive, newborn. Who? Him. The husband, hero, hunk, the boy next door, the paramour, the je t'adore, the marrying kind, adulterer, bigamist, the wolf, the rip, the rake, the rat, the heartbreaker, the lady killer, Mr. Right. My baby stirred, suckled the empty air for milk till I knelt, and the black queen scooped out my breast, the left guiding it down to the infant's mouth. No man, I swore, will make her shed one tear. A peacock screamed outside. Afterwards, it seemed like a dream, the pungent camels kneeling in the snow, the guide's rough shout as he clapped his leather gloves, hawked, spat, snatched the smoky jug of mead from the chittering maid. She was 12, 13. I watched each turbaned queen rise like a god on the back of her beast, and splayed that night below Herod's fusty bulk, I saw the fierce eyes of the black queen flash again, felt her urgent warnings scald my ear. Watch for a star, a star. It means he's here. Some swaggering lad to break her heart, some wincing prince to take her name away and give a ring and nothing, knout in gold. I sent for the chief of staff, a mountain man with a red scar like a tick to the mean stare of his eye. Take men and horses, knives, swords, cutlasses, right east from here and kill each mother's son. Do it, spare not one. The midnight hour, the chattering stars shivered in a nervous sky. Orion to the south, who knew the score, who'd seen, not seen, then seen it all before. The yapping dog star at his heels. High up in the west, a studded diamond W. And then, as prophesied, blatant, brazen, buoyant in the east, and blue, the boyfriend's star. We do our best as queens, we mothers, mothers of queens. We wade through blood for our sleeping girls. We have daggers for eyes. Behind our lullabies, the hooves of terrible horses, thunder and drum. Thank you. So having ended with a poem which was all about death and a bit of Christmas and thoroughly depressing, actually, I'd like to thank you and echo Ali's thanks for coming. It's been really good to have you here, and we can continue to remain to do these things in a COVID-secure way whilst people get vaccinated out there, and then it will all become more relaxed. But thank you very much for coming. I'm sure it won't be the last time that we do an evening like this here, so see you next time. Thank you.